Hello, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery, and I'm going to be going over my one-page report for October 2025. In this report, I'm going to talk about the goals that I was working on in September, my meaningful progress to those goals, and any other meaningful experiences at this time. Okay, so for September 2025, my goals were, and I was kind of working on how to delegate my urgent care work to my virtual assistant. Why was I delegating? What I find more and more as I'm busy in practice, if I write down something that I'm going to do, it very rarely gets done, but if I put someone else's name by it, specifically someone that I'm paying, it tends to get better. And so this approach has been a little bit more practical. The postcard was done, the postcard was printed, it was distributed to all of our staff, and they've actually taken this theme of the postcard, this urgent care, and they made a web page out of it, and they associated with items on Facebook and Google. So they made kind of associated things on Canva, ads that they're going to be putting in, pushing people to this. So you can see this postcard, Facebook and Google, and all these things you can see in this one-page report that I emailed out. If you don't get the email, you can certainly shoot me an email, don@podiatrypracticemastery.com, and I will send it to you. I did plan on tracking the cost to acquire a customer and also the lifetime value, and I spent some more time doing this in ModMed, and I'm a little bit better at making the reports, so I can easily find kind of what we're producing as cash pay services, but I really haven't figured out how to designate it for a certain time period, and my reports really aren't doing the best in terms of like putting them all in one master report. I would love it if I could develop one master report on like cash pay items, insurance, coding. I'm sure there's a way, I just quite haven't figured it out yet. So I'm still kind of learning how to do those reports. Okay, for September 2025, my billing was at 95, or my collections, was at 95K, and which is very good. I always say to get to the $1 million mark, you want to be at about 80. One of the challenges when you start to do well, you start that 80 mark rises up. So now I'm looking at, well, maybe 90 is better, and then when I do better, it's usually over 100. Okay, so this is good. I want to give some updates on some other kind of things that have been happening. I updated our waiting room TV with YouTube Shorts. So let me explain what happens. We have these little boxes that you can attach to the TV in the waiting room, and it's quite inexpensive. It's by a company called XOGO.io. XOGO. It's a little box that you buy and you hook it into your internet, and then all the content that you want, you can put it on that screen in the waiting room. And this could be done in your waiting room, this could be done any screen that you want in your treatment rooms. And it's really neat because it's basically like a playlist, and you can input in some generic content that they can get, such as the weather or some beautiful scenes, mountain scenes. But what I wanted to add is some things from podiatry. So I took my YouTube Shorts, the ones that had captions in them, and I uploaded many of them. So things that I wanted to promote, such as a video from Storts on shockwave, a video on doing shockwave on a patient, maybe a video on one that one of my colleagues did about ankle arthroscopy. And so all these little videos we put in there, and I intersperse them throughout the that timeline, so that these are things that patients can look at, patients can comment about, and so this is just another way to make more content available to your patients. Now, if you wanted to, you could include each one of these in your waiting room. I haven't figured out a way to include it on our desktops that we have in the treatment rooms. There's probably a pretty easy way to do this, but then you just kind of send this through each of the treatment rooms. So it's a pretty easy thing to do for your office. I was thinking other things that I would like to do is I would like to do this also for educational content, so such as things on like educational lectures that aren't too long, such as doing maybe a diabetic lecture, or a lecture on bunions, or a lecture on something else like that. The challenge is in the waiting room, since there's no audio, everything has to be has closed captions and subtitles. So this is something just to keep an eye on if you're doing that. Okay. I want to give also an update about my dad. My dad has transitioned to an assisted living, and it's really helping with his dementia. So that's really been helping with our family dynamic. So I'm very happy about that. Another good thing is there's a new book out called The $1 Million Money Models. If you haven't heard about it, it's a good book. It has a lot of things that can be applicable. And now there's a great ChatGPT bot. If you're used to using ChatGPT, there's a bot. If you look up like Alex Hormozi, or if you look up money models, you can get access to that bot, and it can give you different ideas for your practice. Like I put in there like how to focus my practice on plantar fasciitis, for example, and it gave me a lot of ideas for the practice. If you put in your questions, it'll give you different types of answers and ways to improve things in your practice. One of the neat aspects, it has an aspect of acquiring patients, and then it has kind of sales, like offering different offers, and then it has kind of how to upsell and downsell. And I just want to kind of give you an example. Is you have these certain types of treatments, and we all have this, right? Your upsell, for example, would be my upsell would be orthotics, and then if they say, well, I'm not interested in orthotics, then your downsell could be, let's say, an over-the-counter device that you have. So that would be kind of an idea of an upsell, downsell, or a downsell wouldn't be like a compression sleeve or something else that you're going to be offering to the patient. So it's kind of a neat idea of how you're always offering and have different offers for patients to give them how much type of treatment that they want. So you're going to have the basic things. So kind of like what we do is we say, you could do, for example, you could do cortisone injection, or you could do shockwave. Like I think shockwave certainly is better for patients, and there's less risks. And I think it's actually more effective. But then if they can't do, for example, I had a patient today that I was seeing for plantar fasciitis. He said, or posterior tibial tendonitis. He said he didn't want to do the shockwave, which I recommended. But I did the ultrasound for him. He wanted shockwave, so he didn't want it, so I did a cortisone injection, I did an Una boot, and I did a cam boot for him. I said he wants to do what insurance covers, so we're going to do what insurance covers. If that doesn't work in the future, then we're going to do something else. Okay, so next thing that worked was we hired a virtual assistant, and this is the same company that we used to use, and they were helping basically with real simple things like sending out our office newsletter, and then doing like editing my videos. We've upped our game with them. It's going to be about $4,000 a month, and they're going to help us with our social media, and they're going to help us get our new doctor busier. So they're going to work with Facebook ads, Google ads, and kind of pushing everything towards the urgent care. But the neat thing is they're also going to, when people show interest, they're going to actually call them on the spot, like within a minute or two, to follow up with them and to actually make the appointment. So they're going to do all that with a virtual assistant. So we're kind of excited. Our younger doctor is getting busier, but we're trying as hard as we can here to get them busier with this urgent care focus. Also, I found someone to help me create better videos on YouTube, both personally and for the office. It's a company that's based in Argentina, and so I've been working on that. Now, this has been a big learning experience because when you're doing videos, you have to be more energetic, I guess is the right word, almost like acting. And it's not an easy thing to do when you're doing a teleprompter, because the nice thing about this company is they give me the script, and I put it on my phone with a teleprompter, and I try to record it, but it's hard to record it with energy. And I guess the goes for the same with doing like a podcast. It's hard to do a podcast with a lot of energy when you're talking to yourself. It's a lot easier when you're in front of a live audience. So I'm working on that. It's not as easy as I thought it would be, but I'm working on it. Also, as you probably noticed if you're listening to this one, I have stopped doing my daily Podiatry Practice Mastery podcast. I had fun while I was doing it, but I didn't see much juice from the squeeze, meaning the profits. Podiatry Practice Mastery right now, I think it brings in, I don't know, maybe $16,000 a year, which might seem like a lot, but for the amount of work that it takes, it doesn't bring in, and it's not like it's not condoning my time. So I want to thank all those that listen. I'm going to try to post a lot less frequently when I have interesting things. I like the idea of still doing these monthly focuses and other certain patients that I want to share about things that I'm kind of learning in terms of patient treatment. And as always, I really like meeting with other practices. So I've met with a couple of people on Zoom. They filled out my like audit, my practice audit, and then we can go through that. So if you think that would benefit you, if you want to get your practice to the $1 million mark, if you want to fill out the audit and then we can meet together and talk about it, that really gives me a lot of joy. And that's what people comment the most on is how it's helped their practice. So if you want to help yourself and you want to help others when they're listening to it, please fill out that audit. That's on the Podiatry Practice Mastery homepage. And the last thing is I basically give away everything within my $1 Million Blueprint. And so if you haven't downloaded that, or maybe you downloaded it in the past, it's changed, all the links are on one page. So it explains everything from in-office dispensing to certain parts of billing, to regenerative medicine, to ultrasound, to all these types of things on one page. And then basically if you want more help, that's where people kind of get involved with one of my memberships. Okay, but I really even removed the membership, everything except the $1 Million Club from the website, and you can't even get to the $1 Million Club unless you do the application for it. So I'm trying to be much more selective on the practices that I'm working with, and some people are kind of grandfathered in, but this has been something that I think is going to take even less time, and I think I'm going to be able to give much more value to people. Okay, and then finally for October, what's my focus? My focus is to set up a new review automation to dominate local search. Let me tell you about that. We tried to switch to Clara that had an online review platform. It really didn't work within ModMed, so our reviews went down for like 3 or 4 months, and it really affected us only in that we didn't stay on top of the reviews. And there's kind of a neat method that we're using, so I'll kind of explain it to you. I may have explained it before, but I'm kind of really excited about this one. I get excited about a lot of things. The way it goes is patients. So on our Google business profiles, we have 10 of them. So let me explain. 2 are one for each office, and then 8 of them are for the 4 doctors we have, and each doctor has one office that they go to. So each doctor goes to Worcester and Westboro, and so that would be 8, and then there's 2 for the office. So the way this is working, this way we're dominating Google reviews, is after they see us, they're going to get a text message that evening asking how we did, and they're going to be asked to give a review for the office. Then 3 days later, they're going to be asked to give one specifically for the doctor. And this way we're going to be able to get doctor-specific reviews on their actual doctor page, and we're also going to get practice reviews on our main practice page. So this is something that I'm working on. I'll give you more information next month. I'm also going to make my first video with higher quality to deliver to patients in the office. The first one's going to be about Shockwave. And then finally, I'm going to use my urgent care postcards as a marketing tool to shoe stores and urgent cares. So I want to actually hand out these urgent care cards to other places instead of just my patients. Okay. Once again, I hope you guys found this beneficial, and thank you for listening to this this monthly update here. I call it the one-page report for my practice. Okay. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.